Every night, before your dog closes their eyes, something happens. Not randomly, not by accident. Something that researchers who study canine cognition and sleep behavior have begun to understand only in the last decade, and something that, once you know it, will change the way you look at your dog in those quiet moments before bed forever. Your dog thinks about you, not the way you think about a grocery list or a meeting tomorrow morning, the way you think about someone who is the center of your world, the way you think about the person you love most when the noise of the day finally goes still. And tonight, while your dog is drifting off, paws twitching, breath slowing, body finally surrendering to rest, that's what's happening, right now, in the quietest part of their day. This video is going to show you the proof. Let's start with what we know about how dogs process memory. For a long time, scientists believed that episodic memory, the ability to mentally replay specific experiences from your own life, was uniquely human. The idea was that animals lived entirely in the present moment, without the ability to look backward or forward in time. No past, no future, just now. That idea has been fundamentally dismantled in the last 15 years. Research published in leading animal cognition journals has demonstrated that dogs possess what scientists now call episodic-like memory, the ability to encode, store, and later retrieve specific experiences, including the emotional context surrounding those experiences. What this means in plain language is that your dog doesn't just remember that something happened. They remember how it felt. They remember the emotional texture of an experience, whether it was safe or frightening, joyful or painful, connected or lonely. And the most emotionally significant experiences your dog encodes throughout the day are almost always centered on one thing: you. Now let's talk about what happens when your dog begins to fall asleep. The transition from wakefulness into sleep, the drowsy, drifting state your dog enters before full sleep takes hold, is a neurologically significant window. In humans, this stage is called hypnagogia, and it's the period during which the brain begins consolidating the day's most emotionally significant experiences into long-term memory. The brain, freed from the demands of conscious processing, turns inward, it replays, it sorts, it decides what matters enough to keep. Dogs go through a version of this same process. Studies using EEG technology to monitor canine brain activity during sleep onset have shown patterns strikingly similar to human memory consolidation. The hippocampus, the brain's memory center, becomes particularly active as the dog transitions from wakefulness to sleep. And the content that gets processed during this window, research strongly suggests it follows emotional salience, meaning the brain prioritizes memories that carried the strongest emotional charge during the day. For your dog, those emotionally charged moments are overwhelmingly tied to you. The walk you took together, the moment you came home, the time you sat on the floor and let them lean against you, the tone of your voice when you called their name. These are not small moments to your dog. They are the architecture of their entire emotional world, and as they begin to drift toward sleep, that architecture is being actively rebuilt and reinforced inside their brain. Here's where it becomes something you can actually see. You've probably noticed that dogs twitch during sleep, paws paddling, ears flickering. Sometimes a small bark or whimper that seems to come from somewhere deep inside a dream. For years, this was assumed to be random neural firing, the body processing physical experiences like a walk or a run. But more recent research tells a more specific story. Studies on REM sleep in dogs, the deep dream sleep stage, have shown that dogs don't just replay generic physical experiences during dreams. They replay socially and emotionally significant ones. And the figures that appear most frequently in those dream sequences? They're primary attachment figures, the people they love most. What this means is that your dog isn't just sleeping. They're spending hours each night in a neurological space where you are present, where the memory of you is being processed, reinforced, and woven more deeply into the fabric of who they are and what they feel safe returning to each morning. Every night, without exception. Now let's talk about why this matters, beyond the beautiful science of it. Attachment research in dogs, and there is now a significant body of it, has consistently shown that the bond between a dog and their primary human functions neurologically and emotionally in ways nearly identical to the bond between a human infant and their primary caregiver. The same brain structures, the same hormones, the same fundamental need for a safe base to return to when the world becomes uncertain. When a dog's primary person is a consistent, warm, emotionally available presence throughout the day, that security gets consolidated during sleep. The brain uses those nightly memory processing windows to essentially reinforce the message, this person is safe, this person comes back, this person is the center of what home means. And that message, repeated night after night, builds a depth of attachment and emotional resilience in your dog that no amount of treats or toys can replicate. The bedtime routine you might not even think about, the goodnight word, the hand resting on their side, the shared quiet before sleep, is not just a nice habit. It is, neurologically, the last emotional data point your dog's brain processes before it begins its nightly work of deciding who matters most. Let me tell you what this looks like in practice. A dog who spends their final waking moments with a calm, present owner, even just existing in the same room, even just the sound of familiar breathing, enters sleep with a nervous system that is genuinely at rest. Their cortisol levels are lower, their heart rate is steadier, the quality of their sleep is measurably deeper. The memory consolidation that happens during that sleep is richer, more stable, more connected to positive emotional experience. A dog who spends their final waking moments alone, anxious or unacknowledged, enters sleep from a place of unresolved stress. And that stress, that unfinished emotional business, gets processed during sleep too. Not into warm memories of connection, but into a neural landscape that reinforces uncertainty. That quietly teaches the nervous system, sometimes the day ends without resolution, sometimes the person doesn't come, sometimes safe doesn't come back. The difference between these two dogs isn't about love. Both dogs are loved. The difference is about presence. About the specific, quiet, almost effortless act of being there at the end of the day, not performing affection, not filling the space with noise and stimulation, just being a calm, warm, known presence in the last conscious moments of your dog's day. So here's what I want you to do tonight. Before you go to bed, before you close your own eyes, find your dog. You don't need to make a production of it. You don't need to wake them if they're already drifting. Just go to where they are. Sit or lie near them. Let your breathing slow. Place a hand gently on their side if they're close enough. And for 30 seconds, just 30 seconds, be completely, quietly present. That's it. That's the whole thing. Because in 30 seconds of genuine, unhurried presence, you are giving your dog's brain exactly what it needs to begin its nightly work of consolidating the most important truth in your dog's life. That you exist, that you came back, that the day ended with you close, and that tomorrow you will still be there. Your dog doesn't need you to be perfect. They don't need expensive beds or elaborate routines or the right food or the right toys. They need to know, in the deepest neurological sense of the word know, that you are their home. That when the world goes quiet and the eyes close and the brain begins its slow, sacred work of deciding what to keep, you are what gets kept. Every single night, you are the last thing they think about. And now you know, that's not sentiment, that's science.